Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, 5 p.m. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I want to wish everyone a very happy new year. Hopefully you had a great holiday season and time to be with family and friends and loved ones, and some time to re-energize and rest, especially to all of our staff and students. Welcome back, and it's glad to have everyone back today. I want to welcome all of my board colleagues, the superintendent, all of our staff that are present, and any visitors that are present here in person or watching us online. Welcome, and we're glad to have you here to our first board meeting of the 2023 year. So great to have you here. So with that, I will read our board norms and protocols as we do at every board meeting. We agree to respect differences of opinions in making decisions for the district, to follow best practices in managing the superintendent and the management of the board itself, to stay on task when conducting business for the district, including while at board meetings, to never surprise the superintendent or each other when conducting official business of the district, to read these norms at the beginning of each board meeting and at board workshops as a reminder of how to conduct our meetings, and to continually self-check to determine if we are following our norms when conducting district business. So with that, again, welcome to all of our guests, to all of our staff, and to my board colleagues. Great to see everybody. With that, Ms. Smith, would you please do a roll call?
Yolanda Clark.
Yolanda Clark, present.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew,
Present.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries present.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez present.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, present.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, present.
Dr. Nguyen.
Wynn present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve today's regular agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Wynn, yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we're going to jump right into our agenda. First up are our awards and special recognition.
Okay. Good evening. The first item on awards and recognition is recognizing January 2023 as Board Appreciation Month. So I too want to say Happy New Year to everyone, Happy New Year to everyone and to our board members as well. But I also want to read the proclamation from Governor Laura Kelly. So the State of Kansas proclamation by the governor. To the people of Kansas, greetings. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and prepare them for future success, and whereas the Kansas Constitution entrusts locally elected boards with the maintenance, development, and operations of Kansas public school system, and whereas local school board members are accountable to their communities for accomplishing the mission of public education in Kansas, and whereas Kansas public school board members advocate for our communities, our children, and our public schools, and whereas the members of the Kansas Public Schools Board of Education are committed to providing an excellent education for every child in each community, and whereas locally election school board members devote countless hours to the governance of our public education system and success of Kansas children. Now, therefore, I, Laura Kelly, Governor of the State of Kansas, do hereby proclaim January 2023 as School Board Recognition Month in the state of Kansas, and I urge all citizens to join me in this observation. So, if you would join me in a round of applause to thank our board members for all of their service to our community. We really appreciate what you do, and I just always like to take this moment to remind people they do this for free, all of those hours. So we really appreciate your service and your commitment to our community.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield, and thank you again to all of our board members for your service and everything that you do. You all are so present in the community. It's a wonderful thing, so it's great to see that. Thank you. Our next agenda item, I would ask Dr. Kristen Scott to the podium for our presentation for our robotics team.
Good evening, President Lopez, Dr. Stubblefield, and members of the board. It gives me great pleasure to recognize one of our middle school robotics team, the team from Central Middle School. According to their sponsor and teacher, Mrs. Jody Reno, our students had only about 1 month to complete requirements for the first LEGO League robotics competition. They had to learn how to program the robot, had to research a problem and come up with a solution, which they chose to come up with a new and improved hydroelectric dam for Wyandotte County using the lake and the Missouri River for the power. They also had to do core values, which is a 6-step giving examples of each of their experience. On top of all that, they had to choose which missions to do the robot game. When it was all said and done, Central Middle School received the Breakthrough Award. There were 26 schools who competed, and Central Middle School's team won one of the awards. Members of the Central Robotics team are, and with us tonight, Kaisha Cortez, Charlotte Reno, Yahir Ava, and Frank Akers. Also with us tonight is the coach and sponsor, Mrs. Reno. And Principal Dr. Ileana Farney. We also want to recognize that Argentine Middle School and Carl Bruce Middle School both had schools representing at this competition, but we did want to highlight the special award that Central Middle's robotics team received.
Congratulations to our students, to Ms. Reno, Dr. Farney, and for all of you. We'll invite you forward to take a picture, and we'll take a picture of the team and our staff. And then I'll invite our board to take a picture with all of the students as well, once we get a picture of the students and team.
And I just want to acknowledge while they're assembling for the picture that Ms. Reno also received a $1,000 check and a huge shovel for the work she does on the crayons to CAD. This is a middle school program to get students more involved in construction and engineering areas as well.
I'll invite our board if you would like to, so we can take a picture. I need to see everyone's face, so if you can't see me, I can't see you. Just a little bit. Look forward, everyone, big smiles. Big smile, big smile, big smile, big smile. Thank you.
I did not want to be the person. I feel right about being in this picture. Absolutely.
Thank you. Again, congratulations to all of our students, to Ms. Reno, and to all the staff, and to all of your families for this amazing accomplishment, something we definitely want to highlight and recognize. So congratulations to all of you for your hard and continued work. So we'll continue on with our agenda. Our next agenda item is our consent agenda. Would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Andy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next agenda item, we'll hear from our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Anna Stubblefield.
Good evening again, everyone. I have just a few items. First, I want to start off by saying today is National Law Enforcement Day. Thank you to our KCKPS Police Department for their hard work to keep our students and staff safe. And this topic has come up several times since the situation with the football player from the Buffalo Bills. So I just wanted to say publicly that we do have AED devices in all of our buildings. Our health service department has been working diligently to train as many staff as possible on CPR and the use of the automated external defibrillators, also known as AEDs. We have AEDs in all of our school buildings. There are 1 to 3 AEDs available on site depending on the size of enrollment. Central office has 3 AEDs, 1 per floor. As it relates to athletics, all coaches are required by KCA to have CPR and AED certification every 2 years. We have additional portable AEDs at each middle school to take to practices outside the building. And we also have certified athletic trainers to cover middle school home football games and soccer games, and certified athletic trainers who carry portable AEDs with them, and at least a portable AED to cover practices game where there's not a certified trainer to cover high schools. The district will provide training each year to help coaches keep their certification, and we also have made an effort, thanks to our health department, to make sure that every department here has somebody trained in CPR. Prior to this situation, we started those trainings back in November, December, and I believe every department in this building has at least one or more persons trained, CPR trained, and they know how to use the AEDs. Our KCKPS has partnered with local agency to address fentanyl. The Department of Health Services and KCKPS Police Department took part in multiple training sessions in which staff learned the signs of fentanyl overdose and how to respond safely. And so we just wanted to share that. We also will be providing more information in an upcoming board meeting in March as to the specifics around our education around our plans around education and prevention of drug use in lots of areas. So that'll be coming in March. I want to give a huge shout out to Jessica Smith with the McKinney-Vento program, along with our community partners for collecting close to 50 winter coats for our students. The coats were delivered to central office on Wednesday, January 4th by members of the BNSF Railway Company. They also brought with them hygiene products to be distributed to all students. This is the second year in a row that BNSF has had a coat and hygiene drive to help students enrolled in McKinney-Vento. The McKinney-Vento program offers services to KCKPS students and their families who need assistance with food, clothing, employment, emergency services, and housing. I also want to take this time to recognize a few outstanding music educators in KCKPS who receive awards. Sligo High School band leader Keisha Otto Gentry was awarded Outstanding Band Teacher. She is the first Black woman in the history of NEKMEA to win this particular award. Wyandotte High School orchestra teacher Angie Dial, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names, I should have practiced this before, was awarded Outstanding Orchestra Teacher. She also teaches orchestra at Emmy Pearson and McKinley Elementary Schools. And Francis Wheeler Elementary School teacher Corey Simpson was awarded Outstanding Elementary School Orchestra Teacher. She also leads orchestra at J.C. Harmon High School and Frank Rushton in Grant Elementaries. Teachers were nominated by their peers in the Northeast region of the state. The governing board of the NEKMEA then selected the recipients who demonstrated high professional and ethical standards and who also are committed and dedicated to their students. So we're so grateful to have them on our staff, and congratulations to each of them. And finally, this is calling all KCKPS seniors. KCK Schools Foundations for Excellence School Scholarship applications are open until February 28th. For more information or to apply, please visit the Foundation of Excellence website. The last thing, I'm sorry, I said finally, the Summer Learning Program registration is now live. You can use your My Parent Portal account through Infinite Campus to register your student. If you have any questions about that, you can contact your administrator or counselor at your school, but the Summer Learning Portal is now open to all students.
Great, thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Just a few items from my end. I do just want to recognize, in addition to what Dr. Stubblefield shared, on December 16th, our KCKPS Police Department had a swearing-in ceremony and badge pinning and awards for several officers, new officers that were being sworn into our police force. We know that it takes quite a bit of a process for an officer to become able to be sworn in as an officer. So it was an honor to be present and to help swear in and do the pinning for those officers. Congratulations to those officers that were there, and thank you to all staff that helped put that together, Chief, and to all of your team who helped make that night special for those officers and their families. That was great. They also had some recognitions for other officers who performed above and beyond in several categories that they were able to recognize, and recognizing those officers who were retiring. So it was a really special night to be there and celebrate with some men and women who do some great work for our students and for our community. So congratulations to all of them. I do want to share that over the last month or so at least, If you all remember, we held some community forums and a survey for the cameras, discussion that has been talked about here at the boardroom for some time now. And so we're continuing to compile the data and the information, the feedback that was shared at both the in-person forum and the virtual forum, as well as those the information that was shared on the survey. So that staff is putting all of that together, and we will share that information likely at our next January board meeting. So stay tuned for that information that will be shared at the next January board meeting. I do want to say, and I know our board members shared this during the meetings as well, just a big thank you to all of our community members, to our staff, the students who showed up, everybody that showed up to give your feedback, to give your thoughts, and just share with us. We definitely wanted to hear from you, and so on behalf of all of the board members, I do just want to say thank you for showing up, for being present, and for speaking up to share your thoughts, and to all of our staff that helped put those two together in a very quick turnaround. Thank you for helping us to host those events, both in person and virtually. I also want to share that in addition to the Foundation Scholarship, there are a ton of scholarship opportunities out there open for our students. So just publicly want to just say, make sure that to our students, make sure you're out there looking for scholarships for those that you can apply for. I know Kaufman has a Kaufman has a scholarship, I believe. The Hispanic Development Fund, Greater Kansas City Community Foundation has a ton of scholarships out there for students. So make sure you're out there looking, and in any way that we can support you, we are here to do that. And then lastly, just a brief note, I had the privilege this last week to be on a panel for the Kaufman Education Fellows to talk about what it is to be a school board member, the role of a school board member, and what a school board does, along with another school board member from the Kansas City Public Schools side. So it was a great opportunity to share the work that we do here at KCKPS and how we govern and how we, and also to encourage folks who are interested in running for any elected office. It was a great opportunity just to be able to share that and to answer questions and to be on a panel with some folks and some colleagues from across the state line. So with that, I will open it up for any other board members who would like to share. Yes, Ms. Russell.
All right. I try to stay on my script. All right, good evening, fellow board members, staff, and community. Tomorrow marks my official one-year anniversary of serving the constituents of USD 500. I briefly want to share how grateful and privileged I am to serve this community. This last year, I've had numerous opportunities to be reminded of why I'm here, why we are all here, our students. Over the last year, I've had the opportunity to visit many schools, many classrooms, numerous district and building level events, to hear firsthand from our students and staff about what they love most about our district, and on some occasions, what they dislike. But being engaged, being present, has provided me better insights on how best I and we can show up for our students, develop policies that ensure all our students can show up as themselves, and prepare them for the future, whatever that may look like. I'm reminded weekly, if not daily, thank you social media, that our district is full of amazing students, staff, and supporters doing amazing things for amazing kids. And I am blessed and thankful to be a part of it. Looking forward to the continued journey ahead. Thank you to everyone that made year one epic, and looking forward to many more. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. I'm grateful that we didn't run you off within a year, so thanks for all the work you're doing. Any other board members? Dr. Nguyen, please.
And thank you, Mr. President. The next Finance Committee will be January 17th, 4:30 on Zoom. And we will, actually, I thought we have already, but I guess we'll officially give to Mr. Goheen those policies that we have reviewed in the past, because they then must be submitted to him, then to submit to the board. So.
And I think we're going to be looking at some policies because we got the KASB recommended ones just within the last month. So I think we're targeting next board meeting to make up
Well,
policy.
you'll have ours. And then for, for our 59-page homework, Mr. Lopez and Ms. Clark and Dr. Nguyen, we have that purchasing manual to complete. And what I would say, while there is not a policy allowing subs, thus there is not a policy restricting subs. So if you can't make it to the meeting, let Leslie know early, because it makes it real interesting for one person to make the motion, second the motion, and approve the motion. Okay? And Mr. Lopez, a request that in February we start discussing the budget. In February, the Finance Committee will start asking questions and start asking for data. And I know Dr. Stubblefield and I have already had a conversation on one or two items that that are related to budget. We do not want to get caught late again this year. And last but not least, I think you should have gotten an email from KSB Ward Cassidy that there is a KSB Resource Center being established. And they have a, I'll say reception. I don't think it's Zoom, January 26th, 3 to 5:30 in Topeka. So that's all I have for a second.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Any other board members? Yes, Ms. Russell.
I apologize. One thing on a personal note, but also related to school board, I just wanted to note that in my day job, I do help facilitate the county's cold weather shelter, and some members of my team reached out to the foundation, Crystal, and got artwork donated. It was a very swift, quick response before winter break. And Crystal and I went around to numerous schools and picked up artwork. And so I am excited to share, and Crystal and I will get some photos of her and I taking photos at the artwork. The beautiful artwork from numerous different schools in our district is displayed at the Wyandotte County Emergency Winter Shelter for those experiencing homelessness. And so I just want to send my kudos to Crystal and all of the art program folks that help orchestrate getting that art to us, and it is beautiful. So I'll send some photos.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Russell. Any other board members? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. We'll continue with our agenda. Next up on our agenda is our community comment. As a reminder, anyone and everyone are welcome to share community comment. Please just reach out to Ms. Leslie Smith, our board clerk, and you can sign up to speak or share comment at a board meeting. As long as you submit or contact Ms. Smith the Monday before the board meeting at noon, we can get you on the roll. So please, before you leave, after you make comment, just make sure Ms. Smith does have your contact information so that we can have that on the roll. You do have 3 minutes to speak. Once you start, after you give your name, we will start your timer. So we do have a couple of comments listed on the agenda today. First up, I would ask for Ms. Henrietta Clark to come forward. Okay. I don't see anyone stepping forward, so we'll move to the next person, Tiara Cheney. Okay. So they are not present today. If we would note that if they do happen to show up, we can maybe bring them back forward. But for now, we'll keep moving with our agenda. Next agenda section 6, board updates and approvals. Board, these are things that have come before the board at least once in a previous board meeting and are up for potential action if it is the will of the board. The first item is a proposal for the Facilities Master Plan Consulting Services. It's recommended that the board accept the proposal from Hollis and Miller Architects for consulting services for development of a facilities master plan in the lump sum of $294,000 as submitted by Mr. Wayne Correll, Director of Purchasing, Steve Lilly, Chief Operating Officer, and is recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of Schools. And before there is any potential motion, I do just want to say thank you to Ms. Russell and to the Facilities Committee for helping in the search, and to everyone that was a part of this. And I would just ask if there's anything you would like to add as Chair, Ms. Russell, to this.
No, I just wanted to extend my gratitude to our staff, Mr. Lilly, Mr. Clements, Mrs. Motley, Ms. Walker, and Mr. Isnard, and Wayne. I don't know why your name's not on the paper, but just want to say I know that this was no small task for you all to accomplish, and we had a few road bumps in the way with timing and all of those things. So I just want to express my gratitude to you all, as well as my colleagues on the board, Janie and Dr. Nguyen, who participated as or showed up for the event. Miss Janie did not participate in the voting. And then just extending my appreciation to Assistant County Administrator Alan Howes, who was our community member on the interview process. So thank you all for your dedication and your work in getting this done. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Is there a motion to approve?
Like what Mr. Lopez,
Yes, Dr. Nguyen, I'm sorry.
having the opportunity to say something as
Absolutely.
well. Likewise, thanks to staff. It was interesting, and I'll say what I said. Where's Wayne? Back there in the back. I'll say what I said to him, and he loved my comment, right? All of them seem to, in my opinion, miss the target that we were discussing as far as somewhat evaluation of facilities. All were looking, understandably, since they are in the profession of building, but they're all looking for us to move to a bond. And that was, it's a little disturbing to me, and I expressed it during the interview, not to say that they were all highly qualified, but in my opinion, we have to make sure that the board has a clear direction of what they made a proposal, they're going to follow through with their proposal, but in my opinion, we've got to make it clear, we're not looking for a bond next week. So don't say that this building is ready to fall down and that other building needs to be demolished. So, but thank you for staff, and I made those same comments in the meeting, so it is not a surprise.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Is there a motion to
So moved.
accept? Thank you, Ms. Russell. Second?
Second.
And a second. Any questions or further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes. And I would like to also say, I would think that we would have that amount of transparency moving forward, because it was very comforting to see that transparency was taking place in that process.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Motion carries. Thank you. Next agenda item, item B, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept the low bids for the labor totaling $1,694,513 from 5 contractors as listed in the agenda. I won't read them all. You have them there in front of you. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next agenda item, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept and approve the MOU with the Foundation of Excellence as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next agenda item, Item D, it is recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the purchase of the new security solution to enhance the security on the district network as submitted by Rashid Hoda, Director of TIS, Dr. Judith Campbell, Deputy Superintendent, and as recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of Schools.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries, Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our next agenda item, it is recommended that the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education accept bids from Desco Coatings, Inc. in the amount of $185,643.46 as submitted by Wayne Correll, Steve Lilly, and is recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Yes, Ms. Russell.
So I just have one question, and it dawned upon me today while I was at Whittier Elementary, who got new flooring last year. When we are replacing flooring, are we bringing it up to speed to like a modern? Whittier had some primary color flooring, and so I just get it because it came to my attention today. The flooring is it looks like it's out of a 1960s bad TV show, and so I'm just concerned about we're building beautiful schools that have modern floors, but then we're replacing old buildings with some really interesting flooring.
Right, well, okay, so for this one,
And Quindero's on this list, that's why
yeah,
I'm
Quindero's
asking
on
that
this too.
question today.
We're upgrading from an epoxy flooring to the resinous flooring, which is an upgrade.
Okay.
You know, it's
Not a
seamless.
flooring person,
Yeah, me
so,
either.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm doing my best from what
Okay.
I read.
That's
And so, yeah, I wrote what the benefits are in the recommendation, but we are improving the floors
Okay.
whenever we do a replacement.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
Okay.
We will follow up on.
Doug's the expert. you
Okay,
know, I'm just
well,
one trying.
shame on Doug for not being here, but thank you for doing your best. Oh, there he is, there he is.
We'll give a moment for Doug to come up to the microphone.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year. And thanks, Wayne, for taking a swing at that. I thought I'd sit back there and let him figure it out.
I love a good comic.
So at Whittier specifically, we were replacing certain areas of that, and we hope to do that as a phase thing and kind of work on through it. And I know there was some discussion, they didn't really like some of the selections of the coloring, and maybe that's something that Facilities Committee can help with
Sounds great.
those color selections. We do try to get some color in. Sometimes we try to create a little more of a blank
Okay.
canvas for people. But yeah, it's a phase thing. You mentioned Whittier, Quindaro. The resinous flooring, the
Is
carpeting,
it different
frankly.
than the tile, or is what I saw at Whittier, is that the epoxy?
No. That was tile flooring.
Okay,
you saw
okay.
before. Yeah, so
Okay.
we're kind of working through it, hoping to upgrade and bring everything up to a more modern standard.
Okay,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for my last
I
minute
have a
question.
Yes, Ms. Page.
Do we ask the school, or, I know it's time consuming, but do we ever go to the principal, the school, to say, what would you like? This is what we can offer?
We do. Now, I honestly can't say that I remember that we did that at Whittier, but I do know what we've talked to some of the principals at other schools when we're doing some things. Try to get some input, but yeah. I won't promise that we've done it every single time.
No, I was just wondering, do we ever ask them?
Sure.
Since they brought up concerns, do we ever say, this is what we have, this is the money, these are some examples, and just get a feel from them as well?
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. We'll jump to our next agenda item, item number 7, new business. Board member, these are just for informational purposes only tonight. So if there are any questions, we can take questions on either of these items. No action is being requested of our board tonight, just informational purposes. The first item is an informational item on solicitation for bids on concrete and asphaltic repair replacement projects for summer of 2023. Are there any questions on this item?
I
Yes.
sent the question in because some people had asked me when I went to visit some of the elementary schools about the playgrounds and the surfaces. And I know there's some limitations, but some of the nurses were saying some of the kids were hurt on some of the surfaces that we've chosen. And I know it's about cost, getting the lowest bid, but we also want to be concerned with safety as well. So I did get my answer back. I do respect that. But people did ask, and I just want them to know that I did ask and was concerned, because we want to make sure the kids are safe.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Page, for sharing that. Yeah, there were several questions asked, and so thank you for sharing publicly that you were able to ask your questions. Any other questions on this item? Okay, seeing none. The next agenda item is the purchase of the GG4L proposal, licensing proposal. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none. Again, as questions arise, please make sure you send those forward to Superintendent Dr. Stubblefield to get answers to the questions. Board, these items may come back at a future board meeting for potential action if it is the will of the board. Our next item is board report. We will hear our report from our district audit. So I would pass this along to Brad Isnard. Dr. Stubblefield, if there's anything you want to share as Brad comes to the microphone.
No, Brad will give the background. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, Board. I won't have much to say this evening. We've got our auditor representative from AGH here to present to you this evening our audited financial reports for the 21-22 school year ending June 30th of 22. Really smooth audit this year. We really enjoy working with this firm as we've built a relationship over the last few years, so I think he's going to have some good things to say about us, hopefully. But we will be able to answer any questions for you afterwards, or you can feel free to send it to us. We'll ask for your formal approval on the next meeting.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Nybarger with AGH, and I was the officer in charge of the audit this year. I'll briefly go through our reports with you and then answer any questions that you may have. Starting off in the auditor's communication letter to those charged with governance, it's about a 4-page letter that's separate from the financial packet that you have. This letter includes various items significant related to the audit that we keep all of you informed about, significant matters relating to the audit. I won't go through every single item in this letter, but we'll just kind of hit some of the key points this evening. The first being towards the bottom of the first page. It notes that the financial statements are reported under the Kansas regulatory basis of accounting, and there weren't any significant changes to standards or updates in the financial statements from previous years. Next then is on the second page, and towards the top of the page, we noted that we did not identify any unusual transactions during our audit. And then towards the middle of that page, also notes that we did not have any audit adjustments that we noted as part of our audit this year. And then the last item that I was going to point out towards the middle of that page is an uncorrected misstatement, which is included in the district's financial statements and relates to accrued payroll. This is an immaterial adjustment to the financial statements that the district has passed on an adjustment for accrued payroll related to the previous year and this year. Ultimately, the goals for our audit are to determine if the entity complied with laws and regulations. Do the internal controls at the entity, are they operating effectively? And do the books and records of the entity, are they properly stated in the financial statements? And I'm happy to report that based on our audit, the answer is yes to all of these questions. The next report I'll go over is the auditor's report and is in the larger financial statement packet that you have. It is on pages 1 through 3, I believe. The auditor's report includes standards that we use for the audit, and most importantly, the opinion that we issued. The opinion can be found in the first paragraph on the first page, and we issued an unmodified opinion under the Kansas Regulatory Basis of Accounting, which is the highest and best opinion the district can receive, and I feel like that speaks very highly on the financial management of the school district. Additionally, this year we completed an audit over federal grants. Because the district expended more than $750,000 in federal awards, you are required to receive a special audit called a single audit over those grants. The schedule of expenditures of federal awards can be found on page 44. The best page to properly reference, though, is page 46 that provides a summary of results of our audit. We audited the child nutrition cluster grants, the special education cluster of grants, and then the Educational Stabilization Fund, or you may be used to hearing that as ESSER funds, at the district. And again, I'm happy to report that both of our reports in there, we did not have any findings and issued unmodified opinions under these grants. In closing today, I would like to thank all of the district staff that we work with. An audit is always an extremely huge undertaking for district staff and requires a lot of effort on their end, and we appreciate all their assistance and cooperation in getting the audits completed this year. So thank you for your time this evening, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the report, and thank you, Brad, for the report as well. Open up the floor for any board member questions or discussion on what was presented tonight. Seeing and hearing none. Again, thank you for the information, for all the time that was put into this audit by all of our staff. Thank you for putting that together. Again, this will come back forward in front of the board for approval at a future board meeting. But for now, again, just thank you for the information. Would entertain a motion to accept as an informational item only tonight the audited financial statements for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
I
Yolanda Clark.
apologize. Can you restate the motion?
Yeah, to accept as an informational item the audited financial statements for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022.
Okay. I thought I heard you say we were doing this at the next meeting.
Tonight, we would ask that you just take it as an informational item, accepted.
Okay.
We'll ask for the formal acceptance so that we can send it to the legislature and those things on the next meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Additional questions? Okay, Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark.
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries.
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Great, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is item number 9, board policy. We have in front of us, board, the parent and student handbook, the draft, which is our second read, which is up tonight for a second read if so chosen as the will of the board. It's recommended that we accept for a second read the parent and student handbook for the 2023-2024 school year as submitted by Dr. Jermaine Wilson, Executive Director of Student Services and Family Support, and as recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of Schools.
Move to approve for second read. Second.
There's a motion to approve for second read and a second. Are there any questions or discussion regarding the draft handbook? Ms. Russell?
So I don't know if it's still in a marketing phase. There just seems to be a lot of words in this handbook. And I don't know that I would look at this and not be overwhelmed. And so I don't know where we are in making this information more like what do I need to know versus like 1,000 textbook words on paper. So I feel like it starts off really great and then it gets really, really wordy. And I don't know that that's something that people would take this information in well towards the end, because it's just a lot of words and there's no distinction between Kids Zone and health services. So I just don't know where that part of it is.
Yes, so the introduction part, I think that you have for your board item kind of gives the overlay that the first part of the book gives you just a glimpse of what the formatting will look like when you receive it for the third read.
Okay.
So we're in the process of cleaning up all of the language to make it parent-friendly, adding the wonderful pictures of all of our fantastic students and taking out kind of all the stuff that's really not needed and making it more of a resource and informational guide.
Thank you. That to me is, it's not like, I don't think there's anything wrong in here, but I also just, so, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Other questions, Dr. Nguyen?
Well, if that's the case, then why are we approving this read if it's not going to be in the format that we're going to get? Secondly, I wondered, will there be a table of contents?
Yes, the table of contents will be the last part that you see once we reorganize it so that it's in a way that it makes sense. So what you have is the content. We won't add content, but we'll take content away by the time you get to the third read.
Okay, well, I don't feel comfortable approving something if it's not going to be in the final format. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. So for clarity, what we have in front of us and what's being, the motion on the floor is to accept what's in front of us for a second read, knowing that there may be some modifications, or if there are board members who want to make some edits, now would be a time to do so as well. Nothing will be added in terms of content, but things may be removed to make this an easier, more user-friendly guide. But I hear what you're saying, Dr. Nguyen, that what's being presented at for the third read is not exactly what's here in front of us tonight.
Yeah, it's not exactly. He said it is not. So, am I incorrect?
You're correct.
Okay.
Hasn't that always been the way it's been, though? So when it comes for the first read,
That's not mine.
So I just want to provide a little clarity. In some, depending on what it is around policy, the reason you go to the third reads is to make the adjustments. In some cases, what is presented, specifically when it's policy, is typically in what is the recommended form. But if you think back when you talked about like the graduation policy and all of those things, every time it came back, they looked different based off the feedback. So the feedback that we received in the last meeting was around the table of contents and some of those things. So in order to, now, and we can talk about this at another time, in order to make all of the edits in one swoop or as many as possible, the third read is the final read. So all of the feedback that was given, then that's when you would see the final format. If the board's preference is for it to come in, this is what we are saying, what we're recommending, final, and then making edits, we can absolutely do that. I will own that I didn't give Dr. Wilson any, like, this is what we are used to in this particular district. We all have come from different districts and are kind of learning. So we can adjust in the future for sure to have like final format and all of that consistently around that. But the multiple reads is to make the adjustments around anything from format to add, to take away, or to present.
You also have time here because we're kind of ahead of the game on putting the handbook together this year. So
We're behind. This yearbook is for this year.
how is it for this year? Well, then we are behind. But I was thinking it was going forward. But either way, once you get the version in the final format, the board can always reserve the right to have a fourth read before final approval as well. So you do want a chance to look at the final version and read it before you make the final approval to say this is the one we're adopting. So if there are changes in between what you get at the third read and that you still want to make a final motion on, then you certainly can do that. You're not tied to 3 reads and that's it. The idea behind the reads is that you read as the adjustments are made, so that when you have the final version, you're voting on the final document, and that you've had time to look at it before the meeting. So that's the idea, at least.
Thank you. Additional questions or discussion?
I just want to be
Humphreys and-
clear that my last comment was, this is an update to the current one and not that there is not a current handbook. I want to be clear on that, just so nobody misunderstood that.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
And clarity is so important.
It is, it is, it
But
is.
again, I'll say, the process, in my opinion, should be at least the format. You know, now you come back with this, that, whatever, it's like, okay, it's brand new. But, you know, there's a lot of consistency that we need, and first of the year is the best place to start. Thank you.
And Mr. Lopez, I understand what Ms. Russell is saying, but I think we need to be careful. I want it to be user-friendly, but it needs to have the information. And to say it's too wordy, that's the problem with our society today. People don't read. And I'm not saying this is everybody, but it needs to be in there, and we need to read the information to know and not gut it to a point where it's not there. So let's be careful with that, because we have to read, and it's a tool we need in order to survive. And we just don't want to make it simple, you know, we want to be considerate, but at the same time, we're an institution of higher learning, so we have to be careful.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Dr.
Well,
Nguyen?
and I've always asked, is there a formal orientation so the parents know this and the students know this? You know, giving you a manual is one thing. Fine. I don't know how parents deal with it. But is there a formal process?
There is not a formal orientation for students because students kind of have different entry points at the school site. But one thing that we would hope to do is to accompany the parent-student handbook in the future will be to have a place on the website where parents can access a video that kind of goes over the information in a way that they can access it.
Okay, and then at parent night, I mean,
Yes.
I don't get why I'm asking these questions. This, in my opinion, should already be established that at second semester, this will be presented. And I mean, this is kind of crazy that the school year's already started, but nevertheless. But, you know, we're just, there's no, I don't hear you saying that it will be done in a consistent way across all schools.
So
You can go.
I was just going to add, I've been at 5 buildings in this district over my 2 children, my 2 childhood, or my 2 child age, school age, whatever, yes. And I've seen this information presented in smaller bit-sized pieces. So like at back to school night, I saw the Kids Zone information, or the like, what are your rights? I've seen at the Title I meeting. So I think in all the buildings I've been in, I've seen it. I think this is just a one-stop shop booklet, whereas I've seen them.
You've seen sections of it, right?
But I
that's
think
what I hear you
overall, I've seen most of the content
Okay, fine.
of it.
So there's a different audience for different settings.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's not, and I know you understand me, that's not what I'm saying.
No, and one of the things, you know, as Dr. Wilson came on new, and some of us, there were things that at one time, when you look historically in the district, it did occur, and for some reason, either based off parent feedback or those kind of things, it stopped. That is something that we can definitely engage our principals and have them to engage their PTOs and site councils, but we can also, like, as we are doing welcome and enrollment, to make sure that people know how that, so those are some things we can navigate through to make sure that it is what the parents are asking for or what it looks like, but definitely make sure there is a formal option for parents who would like it. It can be one of the things that, as we, like this year, we implemented FA days on the front end of the school year. And as we're reaching out to families, we can make sure that they know, here's where they are and here are the sections. As those FA teachers or staff members are reaching out to the individual parents, we can give them a script to include, here's where the handbook is, here's what's covered in the handbook, and then where the video is. So we can definitely add those things. But as we have navigated and unpacked things, we have found out it was done in this manner for so long, so we've hit the ground running. But the feedback is important, and we can implement what is being shared with us and continue what is happening with the sections to make sure that people know in those specific audiences what's in the handbook and what's not in there.
Thank you. Additional questions or discussion? Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing no more questions or discussion. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
before
Ms.
you do
Clark.
Roll call, I just want to make sure, because we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about a third read, we talked about a fourth read, so I want to make sure if this motion, we approve this motion for a second read, it will come back to us as a third read. It will come back kind of in a more finished format, right? So we'll have a chance to read through it, but I then also recommend we go ahead and move forward with the fourth read. Is that kind of where we are?
You can determine it at the
We,
third.
yeah, at the third read, we'll determine if there's additional feedback or formatting or other questions to make changes, then it would be brought back for a fourth read.
What we've read at this point is kind of the heart and soul of things. Okay, I just want to make sure that we are aligned as I move forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Clark. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Great, motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda are executive sessions. We can dismiss staff that will not participate in executive sessions.
Okay. Staff can be dismissed with the exception of Samry Devon, Steve Lilly, and Chief Nicholson. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
No,
Would
stay as well.
would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing matters relating to security measures which, if discussed in open session, would jeopardize such security measures to involve Samry Devon, Steve Lilly, and Chief Nicholson, Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, going in at 6:05 for 10 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you. Motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to recess to executive session to discuss teacher negotiations pursuant to the exception for employer-employee negotiations under COMA, going in at 6:19 for 12 minutes, and including Samry Devon and Dr. Stubblefield and Mr. Goheen.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms.
I would ask that we extend for, or have this session for 15 minutes. I would like to use a personal point of privilege when we go back there.
Okay, perfect. Is there a friendly amendment to the person that made the motion and seconded to 15 minutes rather than 12?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. The amendment, or the motion has been amended, Ms. Smith, to 15 minutes, going in at 6:19. Any other questions? All right, Ms. Smith, roll call.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to return to open session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of parties involved under Kansas Open Meetings Act, going in at 6:39 for 5 minutes.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. return to open session?
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to recess to executive session for consultation with the attorney on matters which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship under Kansas Open Meetings Act with potential action to follow, going in at 6:45 for 5 minutes.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. motion to return to open session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to recess to executive session for consultation with the attorney on matters which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under Kansas Open Meetings Act with potential action to follow after, going in at 6:53 for 5 minutes.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes. Thank you. Motion to return to open session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you. We're back in open session. Would entertain a motion to approve the hearing officer's report.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page. Yes, I'm sorry.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now entertain a motion to accept the settlement agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Janie Humphries,
Janie Humphries, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And before we finish, we do have two individuals, two of our community residents who wanted to approach to give community comment who are with us now. And so we do want to allow them the opportunity to speak and address the board tonight. So we're grateful to have you here. Just a reminder again on our community comment policy, you would have 3 minutes after you begin, after you state your name for the board. And before you leave, please make sure the board clerk has your contact information in case there's any follow-up that we need to do. And a member of our administrative leadership team will follow up with you to address any other concerns or answer any questions that we might hear tonight. And again, we would just ask that you refrain from making any specific references to either staff or students, particularly to any incidents or names of any individuals in your comments. But other than that, we would be open to hear from you tonight. And so I would invite Ms. Henrietta Clark to please come forward.
Hello, my name is Henrietta Clark, and I'm here because I have concerns about some things that are going on. And my grandkids haven't been to school since October, and it seemed like nothing's being done about trying to get them back in school. So, and it seemed like nobody was trying to help us at first. But now we kind of getting a little help, but we still don't understand why nobody was helping us get the situation that was going on resolved. So that's why I'm here to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. We will definitely ask a member of our leadership team to reach out to you and contact you and answer any questions and follow up. Thank you. Next up, I would ask for, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Tiara Cheney, to please come forward. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tiara Cheney. I'm here to speak today because I feel like some things need to be done in the sense of safety in the schools, maybe a different way of reporting incidents that require fast action to keep the children safe. Because I just feel like when things happen, if there aren't so many witnesses or someone who can really say, you know, this happened, then it's kind of like it didn't happen at all. It gets ignored, it gets swept under the rug, and nothing happens to resolve the situation. So I'm thinking that there should just be something else that can be done and a way for it to be resolved quickly, because a student shouldn't have to miss school because the parent or the student doesn't feel like they're safe. And when it's brought to someone's attention and no one does anything about it or makes you feel as if it never happened, I don't think that should be okay. When the administration is not doing what they're there to do, which is protect the children. That's not okay. And so I felt like that needed to be addressed, and something needs to be done to make it to where everything is more taken care of. And in these situations, a different way to help the families compensate or with adjustments to get it to where their children can be in school and they're safe at the same time. So that's my situation.
Thank you, Ms. Cheney, and just as I remarked to Ms. Clark, we will definitely have someone from our leadership team reach out to you and follow up and address some of the concerns that you brought up tonight, specifically some of the follow-up. I do want to share that there are processes and policies in place when complaints are brought forward that we should be following, and so we want to make sure that we're doing our part. So we will make sure to follow up with the two of you to address the situations and get some more information so that we can appropriately address your concerns and make sure that we're meeting your needs or any of the community needs who you may be speaking for. So thank you for coming tonight and for sharing and for waiting while we finished up in our executive sessions. We appreciate that.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes, Ms. Page.
can I ask them, have they been here before? I could have swore I saw them back in October or November. And
So they're nodding their
it's kinda
heads.
sad that this hadn't been resolved. I don't know what the issue is, because they didn't really go into detail. They just said it was a safety issue. And whatever we can do, we need to try to do everything we can to rectify this. Because they shouldn't have to come back, and we're still dealing with the same issue.
Absolutely, I agree. So we will definitely follow up and as a board get a follow-up information regarding the situation that once our staff follows up with the two of you and on these issues that you're bringing forward. Yeah, but I agree. Thank you, Ms. Page.
Let me ask a question too. Dr. Stubblefield, you're aware of some flyer that is being distributed in community about these issues?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No,
If I see it, I'll send it to you. 'Cause
Okay.
Parents have told me that there's a flyer circulating that says, in essence, in cases of bullying and things like that, USD 500 is not doing anything about it. We don't need.
No, I'm not aware. If you share it, we can definitely follow up.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. And so with that, again, thank you for Ms. Clark and Ms. Cheney for joining us tonight. Thank you, board and staff, for joining us tonight. Again, thank you, Ms. Smith. I just want to say publicly thank you on behalf of the board for the nice treats that you gave us as board members tonight. So we really appreciate you. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.